Obviously, the title of this episode should be "What color is Noah's shirt?"
It's 2 shades of blue.
It's just blue and blue.
Well, Phil and I said the bottom half was purple, so
you guys are.
Noah, hold up the bottom. Hold up the bottom more. I feel like I don't. That's just it's just dark blue. Because it's like the same as my shirt, which is definitely blue. Is this like purple?
Exactly. You probably have some blue jeans that are like this color, right?
They both of your shirts look very purple to me. Andrew's as well.
I feel you're the problem here, and not because originally you were trying to say that men can't detect color or whatever, but.
Well,
I think you might
1 out of 12 men is colorblind, so statistically, there's a pretty good chance that one of you is colorblind.
Is
riveting us
a man in a past life?
Riveting as I don't see color. There. Who's progressive now, folks? All right, let's get this started. Hello and welcome to Off the Record. We kick back, take a lighter look at the week that was in the news. Sometimes we go serious, but we try not to too much. This is the fun show of the week. My show is all boring and whatever. I mean, Rachel's is a little bit more interesting, but this one we let loose and we talk about a few of the stories that may have flown under the radar in the week previous. It is Friday, so I hope you are set to have a wonderful weekend here. I'm joined by my colleagues Noah Jarvis, who is a great journalist and does some work behind the scenes at True North, and also Rachel Emmanuel, host of Alberta Roundup. Rachel, Noah, good to have you back.
Happy to be here.
It's a pleasure to be on. It's sure to be a great discussion.
Well, that's overly ambitious, I think. Although we had Noah on. It was his debut last week, and the people were not displeased by it. So how do you feel coming back?
Feels great. The conversation we had last week, it was fun. Got a little chance to do this, so I'm sure it'll be another great conversation, and we'll have some serious talk, but I'm pretty sure we'll also have some laughs in between.
Also, I was listening to the Daily Wire this week, and Noah referred to me as Miss Emmanuel. No, I'm pretty sure I'm like 5 years older than you. You can just call me Rachel.
Did you just name our own show at True North?
Sorry.
Yeah,
it's called Daily
Wire.
Oh yeah, well, the show that it's modeled after.
Whoa! Like all right, Rachel's never coming. I thought last week the great offensive bit was Noah and Harrison talking about sports, but now Rachel is just calling us a pale imitation of the Daily Wire. All right,
ambitious shoes to fill. Nothing wrong with that.
All right, but I did enjoy that you were like, you became like a school marm in the episode with just Ms. Emmanuel. It's can I go to the bathroom, please, Ms. Emmanuel?
Well, now that she's a mother, I feel like it's a bit more respectable. I just have to treat her with that elderly respect.
Oh,
elderly respect. All right, if you're gonna call me Mrs. Anything, you should at least figure out what my married last name is. How about that?
Noah, you must be single.
Sorry, I definitely am. Yeah,
okay. You're calling Rachel elderly. Okay, all right. We're just gonna get into this here because this is it. I am saving you from yourself here. All right. This story that came out this week. See, Rachel's staring daggers at him now, and I don't blame her. This story that came out this week. Speaking of staring daggers, the Liberals have been whipping up the Alex Jones fanaticism here because they claim that Pierre Poilievre and Alex Jones are in cahoot for something, somewhere, somehow. I don't quite get it. But Pierre Poilievre was campaigning through Eastern Canada. He saw a little protest of the carbon tax protesters who have been going for now 26 days and decided to pull over and have a little chat with them. This was, he ended up touring their camper. Take a look.
Yeah. Where do you guys get a shower? Down here. You guys get a shower? Yeah, a big shower. Yeah. This is where I sleep.
I know you're getting a tan, bro. You think you're getting a tan?
You are getting a tan.
Oh, man.
So you guys are here 24/7?
Yeah, it was a couple of good days, but...
And so when I ask the tax, then you guys are going to be able to go home?
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, how soon is that
Can
going
I
to
get a
be?
picture of you up beside that?
We wouldn't stand in front of something else.
Okay.
You don't want to get them.
He doesn't want to get a picture beside the F. Trudeau flag.
How about so I go to the House of Commons every day?
We see them, we can't answer any questions, what we see.
So he's chatting with people that are out there and have been for a few weeks protesting the carbon tax. They've been going on for more than 3 weeks. And you look at that video, as I did when it first went around, and just saw Pierre Poilievre talking to ordinary people. But oh, no. The Liberals were really, really searching. They were bent over, squinting. Throw up that meme. I got a live shot of the Liberal. Yeah, that's the, if you've seen that meme before, you'll appreciate the humor. That's the Liberals craning, looking at every sticker that Pierre Poilievre walked by, and oh, they found one. Yes, this is what they found. If you zoom in and look really, really closely, Pierre Poilievre, a hashtag there that says Save Canada, a peace sign, a heart, a cross, a heart with what I believe says mem, which I don't know if it was supposed to say mom, but whatever. And then what's that little one in the middle there? The rectangle with a line through it. Well, that is the flag of a fictional country called Diagolon, which has become a community of sorts online. It was started by Jeremy McKenzie. You have some people in that group that have said some rather vile things, and not limited to making rape jokes about Pierre Poilievre's wife, Anna. So I don't believe that he has any time or respect or affinity for that group, who, by the way, as I understand it, wasn't even at the protest. Someone who signed that camper just put that on there. It wasn't even like the guy who gave Poilievre the tour was involved. But that becomes the focal point of all of this. So let's start with you on this, Rachel. You've covered these carbon tax protests in Alberta that have been going on. And these are people that really just want the carbon tax gone. So this far-right conspiracy of sorts I'm not seeing. Have you?
No, you're exactly right. It's just people who are tired of the Trudeau Liberals. They want the carbon tax gone. If you were to go to the one down here close to my house outside of Calgary, you would see a variety of signs of different types. People are, have a host of complaints due to their government, due to the World Economic Forum, due to the UN, even a couple signs, people saying Danielle Smith should be out here. So certainly you'll get a wide variety of things. But if you ask around, everyone's there for one reason, and that reason is to protest the federal government's carbon tax. This is, of course, another example of the Liberals grasping at straws. They don't like that Pierre Poilievre mingles with these people. They don't like the support that Pierre Poilievre has, and certainly don't like to see him being so casual. It's so easy for him to go out and about and be among Canadian people, and he has a lot of respect and admiration. People are excited about him. People are excited about what the Conservative Party is offering, and hopeful that the next federal election will bring about Conservative government. Whereas likewise, when Justin Trudeau is walking around, you have people booing him and heckling him, and we even had a case of people throwing stones at him at one point. So
Yeah.
just such polar opposites with what you see among the two leaders when they go out in public.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let me get your take on that, Noah, because I know you've been at press conferences when Pierre Poilievre is there, and they're not met with the protest that Justin Trudeau is getting anytime he goes somewhere. And here you have him talking to people. By the way, not all of them would have been supporters. Some of them might have been PPC supporters or otherwise not interested in the Conservatives. But the idea of just turning that rather pure exchange into this weird fringe far-right conspiracy just seems to be absurd and pretty desperate on the part of the Liberals.
Oh, it's absolutely absurd. They're trying to link him to Alex Jones, and now because of the clip that came out a couple of days ago, they're trying to link him to Diagolon. As you mentioned, it's a fake country. When Trudeau said that at the press conference, condemning Poilievre for meeting with members of Diagolon, I had to laugh because they want a diagonal country from Alaska to Florida, which is obviously not going to happen. They believe a bunch of wacky things, and not to mention the fact that Pierre Poilievre actually denounced these guys before. They said awful things about his wife, and he condemned them. So to try and link him with Diagolon, it's just strange because you could link him with like something that's actually real, that actually people believe in, which Diagolon is not one of those things. I'm pretty sure those people camping out just put that on their RV as a joke because that's what it is. And it's kind of concerning that people who are supposed to try and take themselves seriously, like journalists or politicians, they can't differentiate between things that are serious and that things that are fictional and should be taken as a joke. Diagolon is clearly a joke, and their desperate attempt to link him with it is just stupid. You have better things to do. Go govern the country. Try and actually listen to what the protesters are saying rather than just trying to shout them down as extremists.
Yeah, since you mentioned it, here was the clip of Justin Trudeau responding to this, which is really what made it a national story, I think.
Hi, I'm Michelle Song with CBC News. Your opponent was photographed posing with anti-carbon tax protesters flying F Trudeau flags in that In the video, Pierre Poilievre is heard saying that you are a liar and everything you say is, quote, bullshit. Can we get your response, please?
Every politician has to make choices about what kind of leader they want to be. Are they a kind of leader that is going to exacerbate divisions, fears, and polarization in our country, make personal attacks, and welcome the support of conspiracy theorists and extremists? Because that's exactly what Pierre Poilievre continues to do, not just when you see him engaging with members of Diagolon, but also when he refuses to condemn and reject the endorsement of Alex Jones.
Again, they're still not getting over Alex Jones mentioning like one thing in passing on Twitter favorably about Poilievre a couple of weeks ago. And then he sort of re-upped that the other day by saying that, he talks about a lot of things that I agree with. But Rachel, what's your take from that clip?
I mean, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is so focused on the type of leader that Pierre Poilievre should be. What about the type of leader that he is? He's the type of leader that has bankrupted this nation. Home prices are 60-70% higher than they were when he took office. People don't have family doctors because of the number of people he's flooded into this country. Our hospitals are a disaster. Canada is crumbling around us, and all of us are very cognizant of that fact. All of us live that experience every day, especially people my age group and Noah's age group. We are really feeling the crunch and the impacts of Justin Trudeau's reign on our country and on our economy. And this is just another distraction. They're trying so hard to play the same games they always play, and it's just not working like it used to work. These types of answers, these types of questions, I think are falling on deaf ears. I don't think Canadians care. I don't think Canadians care about the endorsement that Pierre Poilievre received from Alex Jones. These are just not the issues people are focused on. People are focused on really those bread and butter issues right now. And I just don't think Trudeau is having the same impact that he used to have.
Yeah, take it away, Noah.
Yeah, when I see that clip, I just think it's funny. It's really funny that Trudeau is taking Diagolon seriously. Like, imagine if Trudeau took the walrus or the rhinoceros party seriously. Like, he's like, that rhinoceros party there, they want to, I don't.
I'm amazed you're old enough to know about the rhinoceros party. Are they even still a thing?
No, I don't think so. But I
like it. It was a good deep cut.
Yeah, but it's like, if like John Chrétien back then took the Rhino Party seriously, it's like, what are you doing? Actually focus on things that are serious. Like, actually focus about the serious concerns that these protesters are talking about. They want you to get rid of a carbon tax that is making their cost of living a lot higher.
Well, the issue here is actually that Trudeau finds his job boring, so he doesn't want to focus on any of those things.
Yeah, exactly. Like, even if you just look in the clip, like, his tie is not tied up, all right, he's kind of disheveled. It's like he's like sick of this job. It's like, I'm done with this. I'm going to talk about some foolishness about Diagolon or whatever. Like, he's completely done with this job and obviously not taking it seriously.
Sean did some real-time fact-checking, our producer. He says the Rhinoceros Party is technically around, but he says no sign of life since 2019. So I guess the rhino has been declared extinct in Canada 5 years ago or something like that.
They harvested the rhino horn for ivory. So
no, you can't do that. No trophy hunting in Canada, Noah. Sean's still working. He says they re-upped their copyright in 2024. So maybe the Rhino Party is gearing up for a comeback of some kind.
There's no way they can do a worse job than what Trudeau's currently doing. So
I think the Liberals are a joke political party. So I actually think that the joke political parties, you're right, Rachel, would do a better job.
Better than Trudeau. That can be their slogan. They've got my vote.
Yeah. Or at least it can't. The Rhino Party. It can't be worse. That could be their tagline. This was the other clip that you heard that reporter ask about it, but the one clip that really aggrieved some people for perhaps being unparliamentary from Poilievre.
Everyone's happy with what you're doing. Fighting against this tax. Everyone hates the tax. Everyone's been screwed over. Right? People believe his lies. Everything he said was top to bottom. Everything.
We tend to use delicate language on our other shows, but I think on Off the Record we can be slightly more irreverent. So Poilievre there says everything Justin Trudeau says is bullshit. I think that more Canadians would find they agree with that than are offended by it, right?
Oh,
I
no
think so.
doubt. No doubt. I mean, he's not in Parliament. He's not actually in the House of Commons. He can talk like a regular Canadian, which is exactly what he's doing there. Plus, I think that especially egregious circumstances require strong language. And I think we can all agree that Justin Trudeau is a circumstance which requires strong language.
Yeah, I mean, like when the Conservatives are in like their caucus room, they're probably using the same language, and the Liberals are in their caucus room, they're doing the same thing, and same with the MDP. I mean, these are human beings who like talk normally. I think it's fine that he's allowed to curse. There's no rule against MPs not being able to curse in their private lives.
Is it still
I,
considered a curse word?
I mean, I
Oh, well,
guess.
people get weirdly pearl clutchy when someone they don't like uses it. Like, remember when Pierre Trudeau himself had famously sworn in the House of Commons, and when he was asked, he had said, no, I just said fuddle-duddle. Like, that was but it was like everyone does this. So the idea that people like pretend to get offended by it is quite quaint.
I just wasn't, I feel like it's become so common. And, maybe there is a place to have words that are still considered swear words and not to have them in regular language. I do think, like I said, Justin Trudeau would be a place where we could use that, but I just wasn't even aware that it was still considered a swear word. I just feel like
Yeah.
it's become so
Well,
commonplace.
I mean, the reporter just freely said it when she was asking the question. Like, he said everything you say is BS, and again, a lot of Canadians were probably like, "Amen." All right, let's shift gears from the Liberals and Conservatives to the NDP. Noah, take it away.
Yeah, so basically, Jagmeet Singh, he's in desperate situation right now because he signed on to the NDP Liberal coalition, and his polling numbers have not done well as a result of that. However, he's taken his tactics to a new extreme. Now he's going around lying that Pierre Poilievre wants to allow polluters to dump toxic waste into Canadian waters. So now I guess Pierre Poilievre, he wants to poison the fish and kill all the people on the St. Lawrence River. Really appealing to
That
the
got
Laurentian
dark.
elites. I mean, that's what he makes it seem like. He said, quote, he has spent a lot of time making it very clear that Pierre Poilievre's approach has no climate plan and that he's going to let big polluters dump toxic waste in their rivers. When did Pierre Poilievre say that? Well, he didn't say that. I think he hasn't, mentioned that he's going to get rid of any environmental regulations besides Bill C-46 and Bill C-69, which does not prevent, which those bills do not have wording that prevents polluters from dumping toxic waste into waterways. But I think this story just really emblematic of the fact that now the NDP, they're really desperate. We're about a year and a half away from the 2025 election if all things go according to plan. And the NDP, they have not been doing well in the polls. Their polling numbers are attached to the Liberals because they sign on an agreement and they have to sign off on all confidence motions in Parliament. So their reputation is tied to this dying Liberal Party. So he has to make erroneous statements in order to conjure up some support. But do you guys think that this is gonna bring Canadians onto his side?
Well, I mean, I totally agree that we shouldn't be dumping sewage waste into the water. I love swimming, and I hate when I'm swimming in Lake Ontario and you're just kind of looking around and you're like, ugh, what's in this water with me? It's just you
People
kind of
swim in Lake Ontario?
yeah, lots of people swim in Lake
It's
Ontario.
very
I think
cold.
I don't mind cold water. I love to swim. I love swimming in fresh water. I wish that we had cleaner lakes in Ontario when I'm home to visit. That's always something that kind of bothers me. So, I agree with the policy, but, Pierre Poilievre never said those things. I think the question here is it's just interesting or noteworthy. Why can Jagmeet Singh say these pure lies? Like he just made it up and he just gets away with it. Like we're the ones kind of holding him to account here. Meanwhile, Pierre Poilievre goes to a protest with some regular Canadians, and we see the Liberal staffers in the mainstream media really just leech on to the fact that there was one diagonal symbol there. Like we have a leader of the opposition. He's full on lying here, and no one cares.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like I remember when Donald Trump was the president in the U.S., this idea of like the media fact check became this whole industry. You had that Toronto Star reporter Daniel Dale that was hired by CNN, and the fact checks when they were about Trump were so hyper specific. It's like, Trump said unemployment was 4.2%, but it's actually 4.3%. Like
Gotcha.
they really missed the point of it. And then again, when there are conservatives, the media is so passionate about just being so hyper technical. And look, facts matter. matter. But when the left makes comments like this, there's no one, except in this case, True North, fact checking it. And Cosman Georgia, our colleague at True North who wrote that article, reached out to the NDP and said, hey, what is the basis for this? What's the policy that you're hinging this claim on? And got no reply whatsoever. So in that case, I think it's clear that he literally is just making this up. And you get to do that when you're in the NDP or the Liberals with relative impunity.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why the NDP didn't respond to our request for comment is because like they didn't make it, they didn't base it on anything factual. The NDP, they don't make a habit of responding to our request for comment, that's for sure. But
well, yeah, Rachel has to like yell her questions at Rachel Notley to get a response.
I did get a response the other week, so maybe that policy's changed, which my voice will be thankful for the break.
Hey, who knows going forward? But it just goes to show that, you know, like they're desperate. I think, you know, their rationale in their head is like, oh, you know, Pierre Poilievre is like this hyper libertarian who wants to deregulate everything, and you know those libertarians, they want to, you know, allow big corporations to dump sewage into waterways, right? But like even the Milton Friedman, who's like, you know, like a strict classical liberal, you know, he wants to basically cut like most government agencies. Even he's like, yeah, this is not like a good idea. You're not allowed to dump toxic waste into waterways that, you know, the public uses. It's I forget the word he uses. It's has community effects, right?
Public good, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it has doing so would have community effects. So, you know, even libertarians don't agree that we should be able to do this. I think, you know, you'd have to find like some anarcho communist who, you know, who wants to get rid of the government or whatever to you know, buy into that. But nobody wants this to happen. I think, you know, if Pierre Poilievre was campaigning on this, he would lose in a landslide. But he's actually gonna apparently win in a landslide according to the polls. So you know, maybe Jagmeet Singh should take a page out of his playbook.
Which is more harmful to Canada? Toxic waste that Pierre Poilievre will let be dumped into the sewer, or anything Jagmeet Singh says? They're both forms of toxic waste, I guess, except one doesn't exist because the policy doesn't exist.
You know, that's a good question, but I think Jagmeet Singh, his toxic waste really it's only, you know, affecting him and his party. So
yeah, I don't think that Jagmeet Singh actually has any sway over Canadian policy at all.
Well,
Yeah.
he could. This is like my long-standing.
Yeah, we all know he could, but he doesn't. Like,
yeah, he could be like the most powerful figure in Canada, which I mean, you know, heaven help us, but he wields exactly zero influence. He's the guy.
Like if Jack Layton was in his position, yeah, if Jack Layton was in his position, he'd be getting a bunch of NDP policies passed. But
Jack Layton would be like the deputy prime minister by now if he were if he had been the leader.
Yeah, Jagmeet Singh, he's only dangerous to himself. So I don't know if we can really make an evaluation there.
So if you're watching Jagmeet, which I highly doubt, we are trying to save you from yourself here. Find your power, find your inner voice. Maybe read Sophie Gregoire Trudeau's new memoir, and you can find some empowerment tips in there. Have you read that, by the way, yet, Rachel?
Am I supposed to?
Well, I don't know. It's that category of you know, literature for women. I just didn't know if you were I didn't think you were the target demo, but you never know.
Well,
how about I read it and I'll review it on the show in a couple weeks.
We could do a dramatic reading of Sophie Gregoire Trudeau's book. I think that would be very engaging. Maybe Noah should do it though.
Yeah, I mean,
probably
I think
do better justice.
I think I would, but I think
it'd be more entertaining if Noah did it.
Oh, yeah, ouch. But I think Jagmeet really should, because, you know, he's getting notes from Trudeau's former partner to his, you know, current partner, right? It's like, hey, it's partnership tips. You know, maybe I should read it because I'm single, but you know, who knows?
What are you suggesting?
I do not condone with the joke I think you were making there, Noah. I shall make a point. You were safer with the Ms. Emmanuel stuff earlier.
I tried to dance around it. I don't think I did the best job of that.
People can glean from it what they will.
Exactly. All right, Rachel, save us. Go to the next story.
All right, so Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is coming under fire now for appointing a so-called contrarian doctor. Dr. Gary Davidson suggested that data collected from hospitals during the COVID-19 pandemic was exaggerated. So Premier Smith responded to this in the legislature on Tuesday, and she said, quote, "I needed somebody who was going to look at everything that happened with some fresh eyes and maybe with a little bit of a contrarian perspective, because we've only ever been given one perspective. I left it to Davidson to assemble the panel with a guidance that I would like to have a broad range of perspectives." So I guess the only question here is it still a question that hospitals exaggerated COVID-19 data? I thought we were all just sort of operating under the assumption that that's exactly what happened.
Well, and the other point, just to take a step back here, I wanted to ask about the why, because in some ways it seemed like Danielle Smith has really wanted to just move beyond this chapter. And I was actually quite surprised that the government was doing a deep dive into this.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us felt that way because she's expressed repeatedly that it's time to move on, and with some of the
Mhm.
stuff that she'd promised about, granting amnesty, of course, she realized that she wouldn't be able to do that, but we've definitely seen the government turn the page on this. I mean, the task force was initially created back in 2022. We're still waiting for the work on this. So this is something that's been in kind of the progress for a while now. We're just getting an update as to it. But I know that a lot of her supporters, I think, are going to be very happy to see that this is happening and are obviously very excited to see the results. But yeah, like as to, maybe Danielle Smith not really wanting to address these things, this has been in the works for a couple of years now already.
Okay. And Noah, what's your take on this? Are you optimistic, or do you think that at the end of it just won't really matter?
Well, I'm of two minds of this. I think, firstly, the fact that Danielle Smith is, using some of her political capital to sort of push on this issue, is a good thing. It seems as if, it's been something she cared about when she was running in the leadership race, providing amnesty to those who were convicted of, I think, COVID fines was something she ran on. And, she's been quite vocal on this issue. So I think, it's good that not only is she moving forward with this task force, but she appointed someone who was skeptical of the government narrative, as were many Albertans. So I think this doctor not only represents the many of the views of your average Albertan, but I also think it would provide a much needed alternative perspective to the COVID-19 narrative. With that said, I think some of the concerns that Rachel brought up were absolutely correct, or Miss Emmanuel brought up were absolutely correct. In that, if this task force goes nowhere, I think a lot of the people who are affected by the COVID-19 lockdowns and vaccine mandates will have no redress. And if we don't have, a sort of definitive conclusion that the government sort of overstepped in their use of these COVID-19 mandates and powers, I think when a future government wants to enact these mandates or powers in 2040 for COVID 40 or whatever, there perhaps we won't perhaps learn our lessons from this pandemic, and that's what really has me concerned.
Did much come, Rachel, from the review that Preston Manning did for the Alberta government?
Well, I just wanted to get back to what Noah said, and I think
Yeah.
that it was, you raise a really good point, and also I would say, one of the things about Gary Davidson being in this position is he's actually a doctor that has a lot of respect within the province. I constantly hear nurses who are laid off because they refused the COVID-19 vaccine, and they have a lot of good things to say about him. He was someone people felt like he really stood up for them. So I think the fact that he is doing this review and is leading it is kind of exactly what the province needs right now. There was a lot of people who were hurt and who were damaged by the policies that were put in place in Alberta and elsewhere, of course. And now that they have someone that they feel stood up for them, that they can respect, doing this review, I think is a really good way to build back that trust. And of course, we've all seen the ways that our institutions have been broken and just the lack of trust in the democratic process as a whole because of the way that our government has acted. I would personally be surprised if we didn't see any strong recommendations come out of this. Hopefully in, 2040 or whatever, we're not seeing these types of recommendations. I don't think the Canadian people would tolerate that any further. But certainly when it comes to things like vaccine mandates, I have a feeling we're going to be seeing more here in Alberta specifically that would prevent those types of mandates from happening again.
Yeah, and these things are important because you can't roll back the clock. You can't undo what was done. I mean, Danielle Smith did give her apology on behalf of the Alberta government to unvaccinated people, but it does serve as a useful document anytime a government in the future, if there's an NDP government in Alberta, say, or even another province that wants to go down this road, to kind of hold up this thing and brush the dust off and say, hang on, that like we have tried this before and this is what came of it. So I think that's the issue, is that the government claimed the first time around that, well, we had no roadmap for this and we were just sort of flailing in the wind. And now, okay, great, you did it your way. Here is why you can never be allowed to do it again.
Yes, exactly. It just kind of makes me wonder what sort of crazy and new evil things we'll be come up with to strip away our rights and freedoms. I'm sure there's going to be something else coming down the pipe.
Don't give them ideas. Noah, you've got the last word on this.
Yeah, I mean, if the Alberta or if Albertans ever elect another NDP government again, I think they could remove some of the guardrails that perhaps Premier Smith will put up. But I think just to put up some guardrails to prevent some of these lockdowns and horrific mandates would be appreciated by Albertans, to just make it harder, make the NDP, future NDP government, make a political decision in removing that and expend some political capital that way. But in general, I think what Premier Smith has been doing so far on the COVID-19 issue has been a lot better. Her tact on this issue has been a lot better than BC, Ontario, whatever province you name it. She's been better on this issue, and so I think I'm in Ontario. I would love Doug Ford to take some tips from her. You guys got it real nice down there in Alberta, don't you guys?
We worked hard for
Alberta is calling. This was the whole campaign.
It's not about having it nice. It's about working hard to get the politicians that you want and holding them to account.
Well, you guys work hard, that's for sure.
Albertans work very hard. Yes.
All right. Noah will be taking up residency in Alberta before long, I'm sure. We'll have a new Alberta Roundup co-host there. We try to end things on a bit of a lighter note each week. This one, it's actually quite ridiculous and absurd, but there's a humor in that. This is from our colleague Lindsay Shepherd at True North. Canadian University hosts event featuring stuffies, poppet toys, and crayons, not for children, but for adults. This is at Kwantlen University in Surrey, BC. They opened a so-called reduced sensory space during exams. So university students, these are people aged 18 to 23 and up, can hang out in between exams and play with plushies, crayons, stim toys, which are reversible octopuses, or is it octopi? Octopodes, and fidget poppers, which I think are it's a weird silicone bubble wrap type thing that you I don't know why I'm doing this, but that you pop. It's a fully inclusive and supported space, the university says. They provide environments for people to decompress and have much needed breaks from overwhelming sensory input, like noises, crowds, smells, lighting, strong emotions, and socializing. So I guess if more than one person are in the reduced sensory space, it no longer is reducing your sensory because you have to socialize with them. So there are rooms where I would love as an adult to unwind. Like if there was a scotch and cigar lounge, that sounds like a good way to unwind. If there were just a room with some comfy couches and a jigsaw puzzle. The plush toys for adults and the things that you use for kids with developmental disabilities for university students stressed out seems like a bit of a stretch. Noah, you're a student. Is this what you've come to expect on campus?
When I walk around New York University, I just finished a class and I'm thinking, how am I going to decompress? How am I going to relax? The first thing that comes to mind definitely isn't, I'm going to go get on my hands and knees and start, scribbling with a Crayola.
Or play with put that picture up again, Sean. One of them, I think that's a Peppa Pig stuffed toy or whatever. So you don't want to play with your Peppa Pig stuffy, Noah?
I haven't really, had that desire, but I know my 10-year-old sister does. Actually, she turned 11 today, so happy birthday to her. But yeah, I think one of those stim toes you're describing, she has that in her toy box, and it's reversible or whatever. And she stopped playing with that because she's too old for that. So
at 11, she's too old for it.
Yeah, at 11,
the 20-year-old undergrads are not too old for it.
Exactly. I'm 21 right now, and just to think that there's people my age who are getting ready to go into the workforce, to be serious people. They're going to get ready to raise families. They need to go to a room to play with crayons and little plushy toys. It's ridiculous. Is this what I mean, first of all, universities are funded by taxpayer dollars. So is this what taxpayer dollars are going to? Is this what my tuition fees are going to? I mean, I don't go to this university, but for those who do go to university, their tuition dollars are going to fund this, and it's absolutely ridiculous. I hope nobody has the need to go visit this room. If you really have problems like that, go see a therapist. I mean and the university, they provide those counseling services. Go and do that. But if you need a fidget spinner or crayons, go back to grade 5. Come on, this is ridiculous.
I'm just imagining, the Rachel Emmanuel of BC. I mean, not that BC could produce a Rachel Emmanuel, but going and saying, "Oh, great, there's a daycare. Let me drop my kid off," and then they go, "No, this is for you, ma'am."
I was actually just thinking that would be a really great place to take my baby. He would enjoy a lot of those things from the sound of it, but I wouldn't really want him anywhere near all those creepy weirdos. So probably best that I stay away from there. I liked playing with stuffed animals when I was a kid, just as much as the next person. I think I did play with them a little bit past 11, but that these kids are definitely too old for this. I think part of the issue is I was listening to Michael Knowles recently, and he had a sort of interesting analysis that people these days aren't taught how to spend their time relaxing. Like, what should you actually do when you're relaxing? A lot of people think it's mindlessly scrolling on their phone, but that's not actually a good way of relaxing. I think this is like that to a heightened extent, where kids are like, oh, I don't know what to do on campus. I feel all stressed out. I don't know what to do with my emotions and my feelings. And so they revert back to being a child, which is probably why we have all these, like, part of the reason why we're seeing all this like creepy weirdness of people like not knowing what age they are and what gender they are and thinking they can be anything they want. No, you really just probably need to go for like a walk, or if the situation's gotten that bad, take Noah's advice and maybe go see a therapist.
Yeah, I think there was a Seinfeld episode years ago where Elaine was so perturbed that her boyfriend Putty was going to be just sitting on a plane and just staring ahead without watching something or doing something. And I was thinking of that when you described that people don't actually know how to fill their time. So like they need distractions instead of just, hey, just relax.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw like this documentary years ago, but it was like this man who, like, once he came home from his accounting job or whatever, he would like tell his wife to dress him in a diaper, and he'd like play around as a baby or whatever. This is what this reminds me about. It's like, we're just and it's a disturbing image. If you have the time, maybe don't look it up, but
I was gonna say, don't extend this to all of us.
If you have some time to relax later tonight, do I have the show for you?
Watch a grown man parading around with his wife in a diaper. Yeah, that's how you can relax. Forget about the plushies.
But it's extremely disturbing, right? So like, the fact that we have like people who these are going to be the next politicians. I'm pretty sure like in 10 years, the House of Commons is going to have.
This is the BC NDP Leadership Lounge, I think.
Yeah, in 10 years, in the BC provincial legislature, they're gonna have to open up a room just like this. They're gonna have your plushies, and after a really rigorous question period, the MPs are gonna go in there and play with their crayons and their little plushies, and it's gonna be a nice, fun time. And the staffer is like, "Oh, do you want some milk?" So it's really depressing if this is the future of our country. That's for sure.
Rachel, do you have anything?
No, you just, you have to laugh or you'll cry. It's just, it's true.
Yeah, well, and if you do cry too much, you can always go to the BC Sensory Deprivation Lounge or whatever the heck it was called at Kwantlen University. All right, that does it for us. My thanks to Noah Jarvis and Rachel Emmanuel for coming on for Off the Record. I'm Andrew Lawton, and remember, everything you've just heard was off the record. I have some questions about your viewing habits, Noah. What was this dog? Are you sure it was a documentary, by the way, and not like another type of video?
Yeah, it was like one of those like weird episodic shows where each episode they
probably just watch Black Mirror.
Yeah, I don't know, but they showcase like these like weird people with like weird habits, and like he just like
My Strange
rolls around.
Addictions.
Yeah, My Strange Addiction, something like that, So I'm telling you, I'm not making it up. I don't have weird viewing habits.
I very, very much believe you.
I think last episode, the fact that you're able to list off a bunch of CBC shows is like far more weird than that. All right, like the fact
because we write about them. We've never written about this stuff. I don't think we should either.
I don't know, Andrew. It seems like you're a CBC shill. Are you being paid by them? Are you friends with Catherine Tate?
No, she doesn't return my calls like that one reporter that tried to get her on his show.
Well, how about you, Rachel? You friends with the CBC? I know you are still working.
Are you a state broadcaster shill, Rachel? Yeah, own up to it.
I'm just undercover, guys. I'm not even conservative.